Welcome into the Between the Hashmarks podcast interview. As always, I'm Matt Lombardo, and my guest this week is Illinois offensive guard Josh Gesky, who, despite not receiving an invite to the NFL Combine, has seen his stock surge ahead of next month's NFL Draft. After a standout season in which he was all Big Ten honorable mention, Gesky appeared in both the Hula Bowl and the East-West Shrine Game during the pre-draft process before turning heads with a standout showing at the Illinois Pro Day. We get into all that and a whole lot more. And back when I was a beat writer and I was covering the Eagles or the New York Giants every day and I was in those locker rooms day after day after day, I always made a point to spend a few minutes chatting with the offensive linemen. And I have to say, I learned so much from those conversations with those offensive guards, with those tackles, with those centers about the sport, about what goes on inside the trenches. And if you're an offensive line junkie, you are in for an absolute treat because Josh really goes in depth on what drives dominant line play and how he loves mixing it up on Saturday afternoons, hopefully soon on Sundays. Now, here's my conversation with Illinois guard Josh Gesky. All right, we're joined now by Illinois offensive guard and rising NFL draft prospect Josh Gesky. You can check him out on Instagram at Josh Gesky. Josh, how you doing, my friend?
Doing good, doing good. How about yourself?
Doing great. And this is always one of the more entertaining times of the year, right? Because you hear all of the mock drafts coming out and everybody building their big boards and pro days are happening. Take me through what this process in the pre-draft prospect process has been like for you so far.
Yeah, so in the pre-draft process, I've been taking it one step at a time. You can't get caught up in too much at once. Otherwise, you can only eat an elephant one bite at a time. That's the way that I like to look at it. Um, I like to focus on everything that I have at hand and the task at hand. So kind of when I finished up at the Music City Bowl. It was a great win, great way to go out with my team. Couldn't have asked for a better team, a better experience at Illinois. I want to thank Coach B for the opportunity, Bart Miller, all of them. I wanted to say thank you for everything that they've done. That was a great experience at the University of Illinois. Then I was invited to the Hula Bowl and went and had a great experience, great time there in Dayton, Florida. And, after that, then I was very fortunate enough, did about a week of training before I got the call to go to the East-West game. I'm very fortunate that they sent the invite to me. It
That's a
was
big
kind of
one.
a late
That's a
invite.
rising game. The profile of the East-West game has really been on the rise, and the caliber of prospects they've turned out the last couple of years. To be able to be in that environment, that had to be huge from a competitive standpoint, and just being able to kind of show what you're able to do that week.
It was awesome. There's a lot of great talent there. Everyone's obviously very gifted, as you're saying. They have a lot of really gifted athletes all across the country from all the best conferences, and I feel that I was able to really showcase my speed and athleticism there, and it was awesome. Not we weren't playing in knee braces no more, so I was able to get out there and move a little bit in space, get out and show how quick I can be. And it was also good because I got to play at a little lighter weight there too. I believe I weighed in at 320 there, 321 on the high end. So I was a little bit lighter than what I was during season. I was able to showcase, hey, I could still play at a little bit lighter weight still, because when I first came into college, I was at about 260 when I first got into college, and then got up to put on 30 pounds in my first year. 30 or 40. I put on 40 my first year and then 30 after that. So in the first 2 years, put on 70. So I've been able to play all across the board. At body weights, I've been able to play at guard and tackle, and it was really just cool that I could showcase a little bit of center, a little bit of guard there, and my athleticism. And then after that experience, then comes the pro day. All the measurements, all the testing, and weighed in at 310 there, and ran pretty well. Had a pretty good pro day, and did all my interviews at all those all-star games, and then meeting with NFL teams now and doing interviews and getting to talk with the awesome guys like yourself.
That's awesome. And what a time to be alive. What a whirlwind of events that has to be. You mentioned dropping weight, and you had to play about 70 pounds heavier during your career at Illinois. Cutting the weight back and kind of getting trimmer, how does that change your skill set and what you're able to do on the field at the East-West game? And I assume during these on-field drills at your pro day and different workouts and those sort of things, how does that change things for you?
Yeah, so I was able to when I went in my off season after the All-Star games, I cut at the end when it was all said and done, I cut 20 pounds of fat off and put 10 pounds of muscle on. So obviously I'm going to be able to move a lot better. I'm going to feel a lot better. I feel way lighter. My joints feel better. I'm obviously faster. And then obviously when you take off the knee braces, that's another 5 pounds, which doesn't sound like a lot, but really 5 pounds taking that off and just the mobility that you have and the flexibility, the way you're able to move on the football field. Obviously, you have the less protection, but you're able to move a lot faster, more fluid, and going against great athletes like at the East-West game, having the top tier of everywhere coming to one game. It's like you got to be able to move. You got to be on your A game at all times, and it's a lot better being able to move fluently and being able to run off the ball and being able to hit people and keeping the strength that I obviously showcased during the season, and then being able to now showcase on a more grander scale how fast I can be.
And you obviously had a packed schedule. You had the two All-Star games. You had your pro day. I'm sure now you're going to be heading to some top 30 visits. But I know you didn't get an invite to the combine. Did that kind of put a chip on your shoulder at all, either as you were going through those workouts, maybe that extra set on that extra rep on the bench when you're preparing, or do you take a little bit of a different, hey, I have to prove something attitude into your conversations with teams? How did that sit with you, and did it motivate you any extra at all?
It obviously it was a little bit of a motivator not getting invited, but obviously you got to be able to control the controllables.
Yeah.
I don't control if I get invited or not there. People higher up, they make those decisions, and they didn't think I belonged there, so then I had to go show out at my pro day, my opportunity. That's where my opportunity was, so that's where I had to go and shine, and that I got the job done, and I felt like now I'm able to get back to ball. I'm able to be my type of player, and now that I was able to showcase what I wanted there. You just gotta play with the cards you're dealt. You know what I mean? So I was able to put my best foot forward, and I'm very fortunate for the opportunity that Illinois hosts such a great pro day with so many scouts.
Dude, I think you're being a little humble here because you're pro. I mean, you kicked ass. So I'll say it. You ran a sub 5 second 40-yard dash. You're in the 90th percentile in the broad jump. I think I saw you put up 30 reps on the bench press. It has to feel like you aced your final exam to an extent, right? Because you have all of these scouts, all of these assistant coaches in Champaign for the workout, and you put out that kind of performance. I mean, that had to feel pretty gratifying, right?
Yeah, it felt great, but at the end of the day, those things, that's not the play. You're not running the 40 on a football game, right? You're not bench pressing on the football field. They're all great aspects to showcase my skills, that what I have the ability to do. And then I feel like my tape complements those numbers very well, that you go back and watch the tape. You go watch like the USC game, you're able to go back and see, hey, those numbers, there's a reason that it translates over, and that, that I was able to be fortunate enough to do that, to put up those numbers. And I had a great support system along the way. Many coaches, special shout out Tony Pashos. He was my main guy that helped me along the way. I had many people, many more people that helped me too, but I just wanted to give him a special shout out.
Of course. And, you mentioned talking about how being able to showcase your game, right? What you do best at these all-star games. What is a Josh Gesky game? Well, what is this part of your skill set that you take the most pride in, that you hope that you put on tape during those opportunities, let alone what you put on film during your career at Illinois?
Yeah, so I honestly, I'm part of the Big Ten Conference, right? So I love running the ball. I'm a downhill offensive lineman that I love to ground and pound. I love moving people against their will. I love when we get in the big formations. You see the Coach B barge formation. Everyone knows what's coming. There's not a pass coming out of the barge formation. So there, I love being able to say, hey, we're gonna run the ball, try and stop it. Like that's me. I love moving people against their will. They know what's happening, and they just got to stop it. But I also, it's the finish too. Finishing my aspect of the game, the run game, obviously for the pancakes, and then the pass game. It's the difference between just giving up a pressure, giving up a strip sack. Just being able to finish that extra step. Not everyone's going to be perfect, so being able to separate yourself with the finish every single time. That's football's a game of inches. So that extra effort that you give that I play with is what's allowed me to be successful at where I am. So I can't wait to showcase that at the next level too.
You mentioned Brett Bielema a couple of times here, and you get to play for him at Illinois. He's obviously had offensive coordinator jobs at the NFL level. So, how much of an asset has he been for you, both in terms of framing your college career as kind of this road, this path to the NFL, and then obviously during this process, he's been in on the other side of the table in those meetings before, right? He's been the offensive coordinator when you're going into facilities or when they're at the pro day. So how much has he really helped you prepare through this process, and how valuable has that been for you?
Yeah, Coach B's taught me a lot of valuable lessons. Most importantly, he taught me how to live a routine, how that when you come into college, everyone thinks that they have a great routine, but then when you have access to so many resources and you have so much coming at you, how to prioritize things and how to build a routine inside and outside of the building that leads to success. Because who you are outside the building is who you're going to be inside the building. You can't hide it. You are who you are. So when you build a routine and you change a lifestyle, and the lifestyle that I developed at the University of Illinois of, prioritizing strength and recovery, and then, preparation, everything that you do, it really helped set me up for the All-Star games going in, being able to pick things up fast. I went into the East-West game and I got the playbook installed on the bus ride over to the first practice. So being able to be at the University of Illinois and that they're able to teach in such a way that I was able to pick that up at such a fast pace. It was really awesome that I have a routine set in place that, hey, I can calm my nerves down at any point that I need to just by, being a part of that routine. And then Coach B obviously always throws some wrinkles in there. He always mixes up the routine on a short week or during camp. Hey, oh, we're going to go from a morning to a night practice. Well, then you got to learn how to adjust your routine. You got to be able to adjust what you're doing. And, though that really does help in this process, especially because, like I said, I was training for about a week before the East-West game, and then all of a sudden I get the call, and I'm like, I'm on a flight 3 hours later, and I'm like, well, now my schedule and routines just changed, right? So now it's like, now you got to prioritize the recovery. You got to get there. You got to get set, everything put away. But it's like having that set, the basics and the foundation in place from being at the University of Illinois really helped me along my journey, and that's what I'm very fortunate about with Coach B.
What's the worst curveball that he threw you guys? What's the audible that he called that kind of shook you up and you had to react to and adapt to? And you look back on it and you say, okay, I can see why he did that and I can see how it made me better.
So going back to this was about my freshman or sophomore year, we had a workout in the morning, and a few people showed up late, so they obviously weren't going to be a part of the workout. But then we came out and we weren't really, people were messing things up. Leaders. I'm not gonna say names, but leaders, and got me. I was messing stuff up. Like guys, just it was an off day. Like everyone wasn't having a great day. So what did we do? We canceled the workout. Like we're not even 15 minutes in or whatever, and we were like, all right, we're gonna come back later, and we came back at night and did it. And I'm like, well, that's a curveball, and it's like it's obviously a conditioning day too, and it's like, all right, that was one of the experiences that I had that I was like, hey, you got to be able to make adjustments, and when things aren't going right, you better figure out how to turn things around. And come full circle, you look at games that we played at the University of Illinois in the past 2 years, the 2-minute drives that we've had. That I truly think does help, because it's like you look back, it's like the core lessons that you learn from there is how do you adjust when things are going wrong. You got to be able to take a step back and readjust. Otherwise, hey, things aren't going to go great. So I felt like that. Looking back to those days, how hard things were back then, I'm like, those were very valuable lessons that he taught, and helped me be the athlete I am today.
What's been kind of your message to teams when you meet with them, whether it was over Zoom or, you fly into these top 30 visits or the All-Star games? What are you hoping that the scouts and the coaches, the general managers that you've spoken to so far, what do you hope is their big takeaway from their conversation with Josh Gesky?
I hope that they take away that I get the job done at any cost. You tell me, hey, he needs to cut weight so that way he can move and be a part of our scheme. He's going to do it. He's shown it. He's got a track record of it. Hey, he needs to dive into the playbook more. Well, guess what? Did that my freshman year. Came from a small 4A school, did that, got all the way up to a Big Ten level in a year, you know? So being able to showcase my ability to get the job done at any cost, I will get the job done by any means necessary.
That's got to sit really well with them. When you think big picture, just about how people view college football, how they view the game, how they view the NFL, it's not always the guards and the offensive linemen who get the recognition, right? People will talk about the road grading offensive tackle, or it'll be the flashy wide receiver who leads the Sports Center top 10, right? But when you think about, your role as an offensive guard in the offense, how do you conceptualize it? How do you perceive it? When you're breaking down film, what are you looking for of yourself when you're studying and preparing for the next game? And just kind of how you view guard play in general.
Yeah, so I view guard play as, the tackle, like you said, is like the premier position, right? Everyone focuses on that one. Then the center is kind of like they tell everyone what's going on. Well, how does the premier player communicate with the center, right? That during a loud game, you got thousands of people cheering. How are they going to communicate? Well, you need the guard there. And then the guard, honestly, they got to be able to bring the tenacity. They got to be able to bring the edge and set the tone. They got to be able to hit people and not get hit. They got to be the ones that anchor, what's the fastest way to the quarterback is the A gap, right? It's the quickest way. So when you think about it in those terms, well, who's stopping him from there? It's the center and guard, right? Well, what about when the center slides away because the center controls the slide? The guard's got to be able to set the tone, set the wall. Otherwise, guess what? Hey, things aren't going to go very well if someone's run through the A gap, right? So they got to be able to move that nose guard too in the run game. They got to be able to set the tone in every facet of the game, and that's how I played the game. I played it. Hey, if I'm not setting the tone, well then guess what? The teams, I'm the weakest link, and I don't want to be the weakest link. That's my job. I get the job done. So they got to be the tone setters.
No doubt. You said that you played some center during this postseason too, right? So you've now had some experience at all three interior line positions. What do you like best about playing each?
Yeah, so guards, obviously, I love that you're the guy, you're the bruiser, like I said. You're the guy that gets to come in and you get to just annihilate people. The center, they prop people up, right? They have that shade, they have the zero nose, unless it's a 2-eye, they're gonna have someone on top of them, immediate contact. So the guards get to come in and knock them over, and I always say, me and Kreutz would always say is like, you stand them up, I'll knock them down. Like that's how it goes. Like, you gotta be able to play with that edge at guard, and that's what I really love about it on both sides too. And then you're also able to play with the tackle. So you got two great athletes beside you, and that's what I love about guard is that you're always hitting people. You're always in a phone booth, delivering hits. And then center, I love how fast the game is. Everything's a lot faster at center than it is at guard. Contact, you're making contact with that shade who's right on the ball. You're being able to hit him immediately. And I like that. And, the guys, when I'm bigger, I'm at 330, I'm at all these body weights. It's also, the bigger you are at center, it's like, all right, well, now you can sit down on the guy that's 340. You could sit down on the guy that's 330, the nose tackle bull rush, and they bring in for the run stopper. It's a lot more like, hey, that's my game. That's my style. I could play at that. And then, I like center because you get to command everything too. You get to say, hey, you come with me. Oh, no, I think I'm right. So at the end of the day, the center has the right call, right? The center is the one that commands both sides of the offensive line. They command the right side, the left side, the tight ends. Him and the quarterback are, the conductors of the offense. The quarterback can't call for the ball before the center makes his calls, right? He can't snap the ball without making his calls, just like he's not going to snap the ball before the quarterback claps or before the quarterback says set hut, right? So something as simple as that, being a part of like the leader of the team in that aspect is really great about playing center.
Who are a couple of the offensive guards and even the centers maybe that you've watched either growing up or even now, before you go into a film study on Sunday, or I don't know if you guys are a practice Sunday team at Illinois or not, but you flip on an NFL game. who's the guy who's appointment television for you that maybe you model your game after, or you just think is best of the best interior lineman in the NFL right now? Do you have a couple guys on that list?
So, guys watching growing up, I loved watching Larry Allen. I loved
Hall of
watching
Famer.
him.
Yeah.
There's a reason that he is a Hall of Famer, that he is so great because what he does, the way he's able to run, and the way he's able to hit people, how big and strong and powerful he is. I love watching that. And then I also, that was my game too. That is my game. Like that's what I love. And then watching guys like now, like I love watching. Dickerson, I love watching him. Landon Dickerson, I love watching. I love taking aspects from everyone's game. Guys that are a little bit faster. I watch Lindstrom obviously for like the outside zone. Like there's things that I take from every offensive lineman that, hey, if my outside zone game is a little bit weaker because we don't run a lot of it, well, who am I going to watch? I'm going to obviously go watch a team that likes to run outside zone and how they have success, why they have success, and then be able to tailor their aspects of their game to my game. And that's what I really love about watching the NFL.
Are there any teams that have shown the most interest in you or been more involved? They're blowing up your phone with text message, wanting to talk ball, or any visits you have coming up in the next couple weeks here?
Yeah, so I'm going on a visit over with the Broncos. I'm very fortunate that they're having me out there. I was very fortunate at the All-Star games to talk to a majority of the NFL, having those interviews. And then I talked a little bit of ball with the Lions and the Texans a little bit after the pro day and before the pro day.
Speaking of running the football, I mean, they just go get David Montgomery. They're going to want a ground and pound down there in Houston, that's for sure.
And hey, I'd be very fortunate to make any NFL team. I don't, I want to be able to go showcase that, hey, I'm going to get the job done for you. I want to go play for a team that wants and loves offensive linemen. So, yeah. Sorry, I got a little off topic there.
No, you're good, man. And obviously, last one from me here. When you do hear your name get called on draft weekend, what's that moment going to be like? I'm sure you've dreamed about it as a kid. I'm sure you've thought about it, but not just for you, for your family, for your coaches, for the folks who have been there on the journey. Well, what's that moment going to mean? Because obviously you're going to be getting on a plane to, head to rookie minicamp the next weekend, so you got to get back into football mode. But, the phone rings, you check out the text message, you talk to the GM on the other line. What do you think that reaction is going to be like for you and for everybody around you?
I think it's going to be pure joy. I think it's going to be, hey, all the work, the dedication, the fact that, hey, I came from what many people call a small town, that, hey, it doesn't matter where you come from, that you work hard, you do the right things, and you surround yourself with the right people, that you can get the job done no matter where you come from. Don't let that hinder you, and don't let anyone tell you that you can't be enough. So that's going to be real surreal for me that I'm able to prove that to everyone on draft day.
He's Josh Gesky, offensive guard from Illinois. His NFL draft stock is surging into the closing stretch here. You heard the teams that are involved. You can follow him on Instagram, follow his journey at Josh Gesky. Josh, a lot of fun. Really enjoyed the conversation. Best of luck, and I look forward to talking to you further up the road, my friend.
Awesome. Can't wait to keep talking with you. Have a good one.
Some stuff there from Josh Gesky. Yeah, I could really see a team like the Denver Broncos who want to commit to the running game, keep Bo Nix upright as a team that could be in the mix there. And obviously, as we talked about, the Houston Texans, they want to run the football. That's what they do. And you talk about from a scheme fit, from a culture fit, I could see Gesky winding up there. And the Philadelphia Eagles, they're obviously looking to upgrade the offensive line after a really disappointing step backwards in 2025. Heck, there's a chance that Josh would share a locker next to Landon Dickerson, one of the guys he watches on Sundays across the league right now. So really appreciative of Josh Gesky taking the time to chat with us, pulling for him in the NFL draft in a couple weeks' time. And if you enjoy the show, a little bit of housekeeping, please go ahead and subscribe in the Apple Podcast Store. Leave us those 5-star ratings and reviews. Those ratings, the reviews especially, help grow the show. They boost us up in the algorithm, make it easier for us to find us. And obviously, if you're checking us out online, if you love watching your podcast, subscribe to my YouTube channel at Matt Lombardo 975. Like this video. It helps make it easier to find for people looking for football content. It helps grow the show tremendously. And if you enjoy my analysis, the insider reporting, the features such as Monday's 4 Downs column featuring Josh's profile at the top, subscribe to Between the Hashmarks on Substack. We recently reached all 50 states. There are subscribers in all 50 states and 49 countries across the globe to Between the Hashmarks on Substack. Please check us out there as well. We'll be back on Tuesday for a new live podcast with Mike Tanier of the Two Deep Zone. I'm Matt Lombardo. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you then.